Right, so I thought I'd talk about some things over the years that have really pissed me off about Borderlands 3. Now I know negativity isn't the way to make something better, but you gotta be honest with yourself. And I know that this game also gets a lot of hate for no reason, which is why I'm fully establishing now these are issues that aren't yeah, so actually nah, fuck that. Some of them are really bad, but some of them are just tiny little gripes I have with the game that I notice, and they aren't as bad as other ones in this list. Like there's some that aren't that game breaking as other ones in the list. I will tell you when I get to them. But things that annoy you just enough that where you run into it like 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 100 to 500 a lot of times they really annoy you and piss me the fuck off. There are a few things I probably add because I might rant, but these are the top things that kind of annoy me and also really annoy me about Borderlands 3. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with the most important one just to get it out of the way so I can focus on the less important ones, but this is the most important one in my opinion. Legendaries are too common. The random drop world pool is shit. Legendaries feel like they are the only viable guns because of this. Right. What do I mean by this? Well, if you've ever played the game, and you've also played the previous game, the previous game that was before the pre-sequel previous game, the game after the sequel but before the sequel of the prequel of the sequel, if you played Borderlands 2, and you've played Borderlands 3, which you probably have. If you've played one, you've probably played the other. If you started with 3, why? And if you started with 2, you probably were looking forward to 3, so you probably played it. If not, you've seen gameplay of it. You would know that legendaries are fucking way too common in this game. For example, I had a full stacked inventory before I even completed the game. Full stacked, what does that mean? Well, that means that I had all 4 of my weapon slots equipped with legendaries. My grenade mod was a legendary, my shield was a legendary, my class mod was a legendary, and my relic was a legendary. I don't know if I said class mod twice there, but that's how bad it is. I was so stacked I had 2 legendary class mods equipped at once. Only joking. But that is basically what full stacked inventory means. And if you ever play Borderlands 2, most of the time in your first playthrough, if you get really lucky, you will get 3 legendaries and maybe a really good class mod. And maybe, if you're lucky, a really good artifact, relic, whatever you want to call it. In most cases, you wouldn't. Because the only reason I'd get 3 legendaries running Borderlands 2 would be because I would get the Hornet off of Knuckle Dragger. I'd usually farm him. I'd go to Liarsburg and then I'd come straight back and use that spawn point and I'd just farm him until I got a Hornet. So that was why. So I was basically overdoing the boss. So I wasn't just killing him once and moving on. I was killing him until I got the Hornet. But the Hornet dropped quite considerably. It was quite common of a drop to get. And then usually the Warrior would drop something like the Conference Call if you're lucky, or the Volcano, something like that. And if you completed side quests, you could do Lilith's Firehawk questline and you'd get the shield at the end of that. So that was the 3 legendaries you're pretty much guaranteed to get. If not, you can get a few. You can get a grenade mod off Boom Boom, which is very, very uncommon. You could get a legendary off Flint, which is very, very uncommon. And Wilhelm, you know, things like that. But other than that, that's it. You know, you'd get 3, maybe 4, if you're really going for legendaries on that run and not just trying to play the game. But my first time I got 1, and it was from the Warrior, and it was the Volcano. I could remember it now. Borderlands 3, on the other hand, before I'd even complete the game, as I said, I had a stacked inventory. So I hadn't even got to the final boss, and I was already ready to kill everything I see with very shiny yellow weapons. Yellow-orange weapons. So that's a problem. And it takes away from the special feeling you got when getting a legendary. Even when farming a legendary, so specifically going for a legendary in Borderlands 2, it still felt special when I got one. Now, I'm going to go to a little story that I've got about cookies and a fat child. Now, that may intrigue you. I've gathered your attention with the cookie, and I retain the attention with the fat child. I know I keep putting fat child, right? So, the fat child, I mean, the fact that he's fat's not really the point of the story. So, basically, on a Saturday, a nice Saturday, a child asks his mum, "Can I get a cookie, please?" His mum says, "Of course, it's Saturday, it's the weekend, of course you can have a cookie, you can have a cookie." He has a cookie and he goes, "Oh, please, can I have another one?" She says, "No, of course not. You gotta wait till next weekend. Okay, it's not that far away. You can have a cookie then." So he goes through the whole week, and he's looking forward to this bloody cookie. It's been a whole week, and on Saturday, gets there again, and he asks his mum, "Oh, please, can I have a cookie? It's Saturday." And she goes, "Oh, of course. You've waited a week. You can have your cookie." And he's so excited, and he eats it, and it's so special. Then he asks for another one, and she's, "Oh, you cheeky little bastard. Yeah, sure, you can have another one." So now he's had 2 cookies on a weekend. Then he asks, "Can I have another one?" And she goes, "Oh, no. Gotta wait till next weekend now. You've had 2 now. You've had one more than you should have had." So okay. Waits another week. And then his dad comes into the picture. He asks his dad, "Hey, can I have a cookie, please?" He goes, "Yeah, I have many cookies as you like, mate. You don't have to wait till the weekend. Just eat them whenever you want." And so he does. He just eats cookies continuously, and eats on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, every day that ends in Y. And now cookies no longer feel special to this kid, because instead of having to wait a week to have one, he can just have them whenever he wants. So the speciality of this thing, he could only have once a week, and he can only have one. Now he can have as many as he likes, as often as he likes, and he loses the special nature of this cookie. Well, he's got them in his drawer all the time. He can just reach in and grab one, and that kind of does reflect how being an adult is. I could just go to the shop right now and just get a Ben & Jerry's. It doesn't feel as special as asking your mum, begging your mum to get Ben & Jerry's when you're in the shop. You can just do it whenever you want. So especially that's adulthood, but that's the reflection of that story. Things that you have are more special in small. Less is more. That's the phrase. Less is more. So now they don't feel as special because of that. And the world pool makes it so you can't farm bosses for specific legendaries, meaning that you can actually farm bosses now, but you can't farm them like you did in Borderlands 2, meaning that each boss doesn't feel as special to you. Also, there's not really a point to get certain guns that are in the world pool by farming a very hard to kill, very decently hard to kill boss. No boss in this game is really that hard to kill. But there's no point killing a boss that's harder to kill if it's in the world pool, and you can just kill a very easy boss over and over again to do and get said legendaries. So because of this fact, I didn't use a single blue or green weapon after level 15. Basically making blue and green weapons, and whites obviously, but like white weapons. They made blue and greens, apart from the occasional unique weapon, useless. Unless you specifically want to challenge yourself to try and complete the game with blue weapons only, there's no point, because you get a legendary so fast. You could just use that until you got a really good purple, then another legendary, then the cycle continues. So it kind of just makes all of that really annoying, and it also makes it so legendaries are the only viable thing to use because of that. Because you get so many, it feels like you either use a legendary or good luck, So that sucks, and that's the most important thing, so that's why I mentioned it first. So, number 2. This one is literally a gripe, but the Anointed look shit and are a pain in the arse. So yeah, I don't agree with the character design of them. Why do they look like fat purple babies that have sniffed too much glue? I just never understood that. And they're a pain in the arse. You see one and you're like, okay, I'll kill you for the iridium, I suppose. That's about as far as the story goes with them. No Nomads or Marauders in this game. Well, not really. Nomads have been replaced with Malawan. I can't even remember the name of them. That's how memorable they are. But they've been replaced with those, and there's no Marauders at all. They didn't replace them with anything. They're just COV now. And I can't remember the name of them either. So that's great. That's really making them hold up well. Even though I played the game fucking loads, I can't remember the name of loads of enemies. So yeah, the fact that I can remember Psycho Tink. And the only reason I can remember Tink is because they changed the name from Midget to Tink, because Midget's offensive apparently to some people. So yeah, that's fucking funny. I can only remember the most popular character ever, and a character that they changed the name of, and that's about it. So that's great. COV suck, and Bandit and even fucking Scabs were better than COV. So yeah, COV are really fucking annoying. I don't agree with what they look like. A lot of them just look like shit, and they look like they're trying to be what Borderlands 2's bandits were and just fail. The name COV is mentioned so many times and splattered everywhere in the campaign. I physically want to mutilate myself every time I see the name COV anywhere. It's cringe as fuck. Children of the Vault. What is this, circa 1600, where people were children of God and shit? That's what it's supposed to be, because they're called the twin gods or whatever. But Jesus Christ, it's licking your own arse much. Like, fuck me, man. Bandits knew what they were. They were bandits. They were people who didn't deserve to live, right? They didn't lick their own shithole or whatever. They were just bandits, bro. And Scavs literally were fucking scavengers who lived on the moon, and they sounded like something you couldn't get off your arm, like Scavs. Also, because of the Australian fucking they called themselves Skeeps. But yeah, even Scavs are better, and I don't really like Scavs. Atlas weapon design sucks. Yeah, they're too shiny, they're too round. I don't know what they're trying to look like. Rockets. Like, the assault rifles are great. They perform very well. But I hate to look at them. They just look shit, in my opinion. They just don't look great. They kind of look like you're holding a spaceship in your hands, which when you say to someone, hey, would you like to hold a spaceship in your hands and shoot it, and it's a gun and it has tracking rockets, you'd be like, hell yeah, and then you give them an Atlas weapon, they're like, fucking what the fuck is this? So it's kind of like a weird concept. Sounds great. Execution, you didn't even chop off their head, bro. So the execution was very, very shabby. So yeah. Infinity Pistol's ruined. This is kind of in the Legendary debacle, because the Whirlpool, the Infinity Pistol's in the Whirlpool, which is a terrible idea. It should be farmed from a boss, but it's in the Whirlpool. It looks like shit. The damage is terrible. The fire rate is really terrible. And yeah, there's no reason to use them anymore. So that's great. Thanks for ruining the most iconic gun in Borderlands, you fucking... Bosses having immune stages. Now this just halts gameplay, because they have a little bar usually on the top. If you look at them, they'll have like a little bar. So when you get them to that bar, they'll become immune, because they'll do something like Mouthpiece will make the base go all brr. Tyrene will crouch down and let you climb on her back like the kinky mistress she is. And Troy will fuck off. Literally. That's what he will just fuck off for like 4 or 5 seconds. So not only can you not damage him, he's fucking off, so you can't even bloody... he's just in the air, just floating about, and you're like, come down here so I can kill you already, I want a legendary, and he doesn't, and then he does, and then you can kill him. But I feel like the only reason they do this is because of my next point, which is bosses are a fucking cakewalk. They're like the easiest bosses in all of gaming history. Like, what is this? Like, the fact that I first played through the game with Mose is not my fault, because I didn't know she was OP at the time. I put on the rocket pods, and I went against the Grave Ward and instantly killed it, and I was like, that was supposed to be a fucking vault boss? I genuinely thought that was a joke. Like, that was like a boss you can kill really easy, because of the actual boss. Like, you know, in Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, when there's the boss Skelly Pants or whatever his name is, even though the boss was perceived to be a dragon, and then the dragon insta-kills you, and that was the funny, because the boss was impossible to kill, and then you kill a tiny little skelly man called Skelly Pants. I thought it was the opposite of that. I thought the boss was really easy to kill, and then they bring out the actual boss. But no, that was the actual boss. And ironically, that's like one of the only bosses that doesn't have an immune stage. So that is why my theory is that bosses that have immune stages only have immune stages, because the bosses are so easy to kill, it needs to stop you from killing them instantly. So yeah, cheers for that, Gearbox. I really appreciate that. Alt fire mode for Dahl sucks. This is one I really noticed. So you get a Dahl weapon, you have 2 sights, and you have 2 firing modes. And unfortunately, you can only use the alt fire mode with that sight, which is shit, because I want to use a long range sight in fully automatic, but I have to use burst fire mode, which sucks ass. On Dahl weapons, a lot of the Dahl weapons go from fully automatic to burst fire. A lot of the Jacob weapons don't have them, but if they do, usually it's something like a barrel thing, like shotgun, or something of the sort. Vladof do it very fucking well. Vladof have the best, because they have shotgun and assault rifle, or bipod mode, or like with the pistol you have rockets, or like fucking lots of rockets. So Vladof do it very well. With Dahl, it's basically just burst fire or automatic fire, and there's no reason to use burst fire because it sucks, and it's not as fast as you can pull the trigger like Borderlands 2. It's not like brr, 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 it's like brr, Brr. So you can spam trigger as much as you want, it doesn't shoot. I just don't understand. It's just fucking shit, so kill me. Sidequest rewards are more than not shit, and no longer has cool little screen telling you what you got at the end. This was cool, especially when you could have multiple quest rewards. Now you can still have multiple quest rewards, but it was almost like the Moxie versus Marcus or Claptrap versus Hammerlock, where you take a specific thing to a specific character and they give you a specific thing because of that. That's cool in itself, because they both give their own argument and you can make up your mind why you want to do that, and then later on you can figure out you made the wrong decision. You really should have given it to Hammerlock because he gives you a really good sniper, and Claptrap's shotgun sucks. But at the end of some quests you get the choice to choose a cool gun or like a shield. Now it just goes straight into your inventory and you kind of forget that you got a quest reward because it doesn't tell you. It just has a little tiny thing in the right corner says epic pistol sign, and then that's it, and then it's all you see and you forget about it, and you go into your inventory later and you're like, oh my god, when did I get this? And then it's 17 levels lower than your level, and then the game kills yourself. Sanctuary is a chore to walk around. This is kind of like a gripe because some people just don't agree with this, but even now sometimes I forget where I'm going in Sanctuary, only sometimes, but even then it's just a fucking chore. Like, I have to climb up ladders, or like run all the way around the ship, or like Lilith says, all Crimson Raiders report to the brig, and then you're the only one that appears there for some fucking reason, like you're the only person that fucking matters, but then in the cutscenes you're the only one who doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't make any sense. But it's just such a like the way they designed Sanctuary in Borderlands 2. It was big, it was kind of big, don't get me wrong, but it was fun to just fuck about, try and get out of the map and just wander about, and it was like a hub area. Sanctuary 2, 3, whatever the fuck, Sanctuary 7, I don't give a shit, is scaled up and not sideways, so there is no central hub area. Well, there's one at one end of the ship and one at the other end of the ship, so that's shit. So you have to run all the way to one end to actually like customize your character and go to your room. And you got to go over to the other side of the map to navigate, and then once you've navigated to a planet you then need to walk all the way to Ellie's, which is all the way to the other side of the map, and then go down some stairs, or you can go to Marcus's place and then take a little shortcut, which isn't even a shortcut, I don't even know, or you can take a right and go Moxie's, do the exact same thing. Then you can get to the drop pod through going through Ellie's and then do a little slide and then boop and then going around. And that takes the piss. Just fucking, why do you have to go to the drop pod every time you go to a new planet? I get it's because drop pod, yeah, but it doesn't even do an animation for the planet. You just kind of teleport to the planet, or it plays like a cool little intro, but there's no fucking drop pod. What's the point? I don't even get it. Oh, I'm going into a rant for it. Next point. Marcus has like one side quest, and it's about Maurice when he finally showed up. So yeah, Marcus doesn't have any side quests, which is kind of shit because he doesn't have many in Borderlands 2. But Marcus has always been a big character in the beginning of the game, where he goes, "You want to hear a story, huh?" And then in Borderlands 2, he had the most famous side quest for boosting your character, which was the test dummy slash Hyperion soldier slash robot. And you could just keep killing it and give your friend who's level 1 XP when you're level 72 OP8. And that was sound. And then the one where you go to Sanctuary after Sanctuary's took off, because Sanctuary is a dark mining site, so you could go there and go get some paintings you had of Moxie, and then kill Blue, and then realise that Blue is actually alright and you shouldn't have killed Blue. But it's still quite a fun side quest, and now he's only got one. And it's about getting dirt on Maurice, and Maurice is actually a really nice guy. And it's technically a Maurice side quest, it was not really a Marcus one. Marcus is just paranoid because the fucking dinosaur can't be nice, apparently, according to him. So that's really great. Game mode feels too easy, or game feels too easy until you get to level 72 and activate Mayhem mode. This is another one. It's also to do with Legendaries, and also the fact that I did play Moze in my first playthrough. When I played Flak, though, I did see the exact same thing. The game feels so fucking easy until you activate Mayhem mode. But there's no point in activating Mayhem mode whilst you're in normal mode, which is useless as well, by the way. There's no point in being in normal mode ever. So you get to the end of the game, and then you get to level 72, then you activate Mayhem mode, and then it becomes hard, or difficult, if you go Mayhem 11. But other than that, it does feel a bit too easy, especially compared to Borderlands 2, and especially considering there are no raid bosses. The only thing I can say is that the black site Malawan and black site with the Guardians is so cool. It's like a Borderlands 2 / Destiny raid. It's really cool, and I actually kind of prefer that over having a raid boss in particular, because it's so mysterious and it's a whole like mini campaign that you don't really know much about. I really love that part of the game, but there's only 2, and there's no raid bosses, and in Borderlands 2 there was quite a few more than 2, and I know they're harder to make than just 1 raid boss, but if they really wanted to go for that, they should have had 1 in each DLC, but they don't, so that's unfortunate, but it's quite fun to do. Unfortunately, the rest of the game isn't as difficult and isn't as intriguing, so yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my rant done, so I hope you enjoyed, and kill me.